Hey viewers, you're watching The Savera and I'm Vidhi Joshi. In a recent development that underscores the complex intersection of geopolitics and trade, the United States is reportedly seeking to include India's oil purchases from Russia as a negotiating point in ongoing bilateral trade discussions. According to individuals familiar with the matter, a U.S. delegation led by Assistant Trade Representative Brandon Lynch raised the issue during a meeting with Indian negotiators on Tuesday. The move is considered unusual as bilateral trade negotiations rarely address a nation's relationship with a third nation. The talks took place earlier this week in New Delhi, where a team of U.S. officials arrived for a day of discussions aimed at reducing tensions between the two countries. These tensions were exacerbated after President Donald Trump imposed a 50% tariff on Indian goods, one of the steepest levies applied to any Asian nation. However, signs of a thaw have emerged following a birthday phone call from Donald Trump to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a gesture that sparked cautious optimism in New Delhi regarding the possibility of reaching a trade deal. During the discussions, Indian officials firmly pushed back against U.S. concerns over Russia's energy imports. They demanded the removal of an additional 25% levy that the U.S. has linked to India's continued purchases of Russian crude. The Indian government has labelled these duties as unfair, unjustified and unreasonable, reiterating that its energy imports from Russia are essential for ensuring national energy security. Despite U.S. pressure, Indian refiners have indicated that they have no intention of scaling back imports of Russia's oil. Domestic fuel demand is on the rise following the monsoon season, and the government has not issued any directive to limit Russia's crude purchases. India's refining sector is ramping up these imports in order to meet growing energy needs. The inclusion of Russia's oil in the trade negotiations adds a layer of complexity to already fragile discussions. Although both the nations described the Tuesday talks as positive and agreed to intensify efforts to reach a deal, there are clear signs of entrenched positions on both the sides. Washington is also pushing for greater access to India's protected dairy and agricultural markets, a move that New Delhi is strongly resisting. The US and India had previously committed to finalizing a bilateral trade agreement by the fall of this year. However, the timeline has become increasingly uncertain as talks have faltered under the weight of geopolitical tensions and domestic economic priorities. The issue of India's ties with Moscow, especially in the energy sector, has emerged as a significant sticking point, with the US attempting to leverage trade negotiations as a platform to influence New Delhi's foreign policy decisions. In the backdrop of these developments, President Donald Trump recently thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi during their phone call for India's support in efforts to resolve the conflict in Ukraine. PM Modi reiterated India's commitment to a peaceful resolution and expressed support for US initiatives aimed at ending the conflict. Still, India remains firm on its stance that its oil trade with Russia is a matter of national interest and energy strategy, rather than a negotiable aspect of trade policy with Washington. That's all for now. Stay tuned to The Savera for more updates. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel.